Good afternoon, and maybe shocking to some as soon as that click 12:30, we're actually on time here today. So thank you for everyone for being here today. And if we can start off with a roll call.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So just go through the names. Councillor Campbell?
Present.
Verbally is good. Councillor Crowson?
Present.
Councillor Dodick? Councillor Middleton Hope is not here. He may be joining us later online. Councillor Parker? Councillor Schmidt-Rempel?
Here.
Acting Mayor Carlson?
Present.
Deputy Mayor Palladino?
Present.
Mayor Higgin?
Present.
Quorum's established.
All right. The City of Lethbridge acknowledges that we're gathered on the lands of the Blackfoot people of the Canadian Plains and pays respect to the Blackfoot people past, present, and future while recognizing and respecting their cultural heritage, beliefs, and relationships to the land. The City of Lethbridge offers respect to the Métis and all who have lived on this land who have made Lethbridge their home. So with recognitions, I'll start to my far right. I guess it will not be Councillor Middleton Hope. Councillor Crowson.
Thank you. I have a few, and then we also have members of the audience here for one. The U19B Ringette had a provincial championship this weekend up in Fort McMurray, and it was actually a repeat. They took the provincial championship last year as well, so congratulations to that young team. This is the time of heritage fairs and science fairs. I was over at Nicholas Sharon this morning. I will be at St. Teresa's on Thursday, but there's quite a few science and heritage fairs happening around the schools, and then the regional science fair is this weekend, with the Regional Heritage Fair a few weeks from now. So congratulations to all the students who are involved in these. If you need to be inspired, go see what the young students are working on. Incredible projects. They allowed me to actually judge the Ghosts of Alberta project this morning. So I was very happy to have that as one of the projects I judged. And if you're also looking for something to do in a horticultural area, Helen Schuler Nature Center has the Best Front Forward. It is a campaign to encourage people to do more in their front yards, to beautify, bring in biodiversity. And you can register your yard. Somebody will come along and see if your yard has at least 15 of the 30 initiatives they're looking for, and you can get a gold star for your front yard. Thank you, Councillor Carlson, for your reaction on that. But it's try to see our front yards as more than maybe just lawn and what we can do with our front yards. So there are some rules. It has to be privately owned, etc. But it is a campaign being run by one of our city departments to help to enhance our community. So I hope people will check into that. And then, of course, the reason we have many members of the Lethbridge Handicraft Guild. This year, 2025, is the 25th anniversary of the building we're sitting in. It was opened in 2000. And around that time, a lot of initiatives were undertaken, one being the Lethbridge Tartan, which was designed in late 1990s and adopted by the City of Lethbridge and is officially 25 years old this year. But I believe members of the Handicraft Guild would like to give some of the history now, if that might be permitted, Mayor Higgin.
Absolutely.
All right. I'm not sure who your historians are, but please come up to the mic and tell us all about the tartan. And welcome.
Thank you. Okay. There we go. Good afternoon. Thank you, Mr. Mayor, councillors, and city administration for inviting us here today. My name is Lynn Patterson. I am the current president of the Lethbridge Handicraft Guild. We are also known locally as the Lethbridge Weavers, or sometimes just the Guild. Today, I am honored to have the opportunity to present a short history of the Lethbridge Weavers and the city of Lethbridge Tartan. The Lethbridge Handicraft Guild was first formed in 1935 as a branch of the Canadian Guild of Weavers, but stopped meeting when many women entered the workforce during the Second World War, assisted with the Red Cross, and knitted scarves and socks and mitts for the Canadian forces. After the war, in 1949, the group started meeting again and offering classes. We consider 1949 to be the year the Lethbridge Handicraft Guild we have today was established. Originally, the classes offered were numerous and eclectic. They included things like copper tooling, novelties, rugs, petty point, glove making, tooled leather, and flowers. In the early 1950s, the focus of the members of the Handicraft Guild shifted more exclusively to weaving. When the Guild first started meeting after the war, they met in the Red Cross rooms, and stayed there until 1964 when they moved to the Bowman Arts Center. The Guild was one of the first resident groups at the Bowman, and when the Allied Arts Council was created in 1958, the Lethbridge Handicraft Guild was also one of the founding members. In 2013, we moved to CASA, where we continue to meet monthly, house and run projects in our 13 looms, and offer classes. We currently have over 40 members. Over the years, our members have regularly attended provincial and international weaving conferences, winning numerous ribbons for our booth displays and individual weaving entries. The Guild has hosted 2 provincial conferences. We've created displays at the Bowman Arts Center, Lethbridge Public Library, and CASA, and participated in community events and display tables with weaving demonstrations. For our 65th anniversary in 2014, we had a summer-long show with weaving demonstrations at the Galt Museum. And last year, we celebrated our 75th anniversary of the Guild with a display at CASA and a challenge for our members to produce 75 dishcloths for the sale at last year's Christmas at CASA. This year, and the reason I'm here today, is that we are celebrating the 25th anniversary of the City of Lethbridge Tartan. The journey to designing the City of Lethbridge Tartan started in 1998 when a motion was passed by City Council that the Lethbridge Handicraft Guild design an official tartan for the City of Lethbridge, and that the tartan should include the 9 colors of the city crest. Green for the lush green grasses, gold for the ripe harvest fields, light blue for the clear blue southern Alberta skies, yellow for the sun and canola fields, steel blue for the mountains to the west, pink for the wild rose, red for the early connection to the mounted police, black for Lethbridge's first industry, coal mining, and white for the prairie snows. Between 1998 and December 1999, 16 different tartans were proposed by Guild members and samples woven. The final design was chosen by consensus within the Guild membership, and in January of 2000, an application to officially register the tartan with the Scottish Tartan Society was submitted. In June of that year, City Council officially approved the tartan design and provided an official letter to complete the accreditation by the Scottish Register of Tartans and verification of the City of Lethbridge tartan as unique. When we presented the City of Lethbridge tartan to City Council as a completed project, we also presented a hand-woven sash to Mayor Carpenter. You can see it here in Councillor Chambers now. It's usually at the top of the stairs next to the council offices. The sash was woven by a longtime member, Francis Schultz, who is here with us today. We plan to celebrate the 25th anniversary of the tartan this year by partnering with the Allied Arts Council to create a tartan display in their storefront, the Lethbridge Public Library in a temporary display case, and a CASA pop-up display at their gallery opening in November. We are really excited to share the story of the Lethbridge tartan and weaving in Lethbridge with as many members of the public as we can in the coming months. Thank you for celebrating this milestone with us.
Thank you so much. Appreciate that background. That was incredible to hear. Thank you. Anything else to add, Councillor Crowson? Thank you. Moving on to Deputy Mayor Palladino.
Nothing this week.
And did you want to we'll go through these and then we'll grab a picture after. Is that okay before? If you want to hang and listen to this exciting, riveting conversation. All right. Thank you.
I have nothing this week.
All right. Councillor Parker. All right. Oh, over to my far left, Councillor Dodick.
Excuse me. Yes, thank you. I want to offer congratulations to Robin James. She's the CEO of the Lethbridge Housing Authority. She is actually this afternoon receiving the King Charles III Commemoration Medal. And on the same vein, I'd like to congratulate my longtime friend and neighbor, Ron Sakamoto, who recently received a similar medal, and his face had been plastered on the Lethbridge Herald. So I congratulate both Robin James and Ron Sakamoto.
Thank you, Councillor Dodick. Councillor Campbell.
It's one of the great traditions in the city. On the weekend was the 38th annual Moonlight Run. What's also is significant, which I've found out, is that 5 people have run all 38 races. And they are Linda Jolie, June Dow, Jerry Brown, Mary Lee Vort, and Carol T. Bear. So that's pretty amazing. That 38 times. That's a lot of T-shirts. Also, reminder: the Music and Speech Arts Festival is coming up March the 31st to April the 12th, which is always an exciting time for a lot of people in the city. And they're really looking for volunteers. It's not hard to get involved for 2 to 4 hours if you can help out, and you can go to signup.com if you want to help with that great festival. Thanks.
Thank you, Councillor Campbell. Acting Mayor Carlson.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. They're not T-shirts, they're sweatshirts. Oh, there's both. Oh. I'm chilly. I always get the sweatshirt. Did not do it this year, but congratulations to all those who did. It was much better weather than last year, so it was a nice night. I would like to just say some congratulations to people and welcome them to their new roles. I believe we have one of them in the audience tonight. The Allied Arts Council of Lethbridge welcomes their new executive director, Mr. Stephen Ford. Stephen, congratulations on that. And also over at LSCO, also on the weekend, they welcomed their new executive director, Ms. Caitlin Weaver. So, yeah, it was very timely, very timely. So just some congratulations to those folks in our community, Mr. Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you, Acting Mayor. Councillor Schmidt-Rempel.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor. Shout out to the organizers for this year's Home and Garden and Leisure Show. It was another well-attended show, and I know it's something that many of us look forward to on an annual basis. I know a few of us were there, so a shout out to the organizers on that. On March 15th, Mayor Higgin and I attended the Lethbridge Firefighters Gala. Congratulations to those who were recognized with Alberta Emergency Service Medals, Years of Service Bars, and those who received awards for demonstrating outstanding performance in their roles. Thank you to everyone on the Lethbridge and Fire Emergency Services team for your service and dedication to protecting and serving those in our city. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Couple things here, actually. Moonlight Run, thank you very much for bringing that up. I remember being on the, I'm going to date myself here, on the organized committee for the very first Moonlight Run as I worked at the Lethbridge Lodge back in the day, and it was excellent to see it still in existence today and how big it has become. Lethbridge Hurricanes, a huge shout out to them as they begin the pursuit of the Memorial Cup this Friday night. And so Friday night and Saturday night, they'll be playing against the Brown and Wheat Kings, and looking forward to watching them at the visitlethbridge.com arena. So also, unfortunately, I was unable to attend the Soup Kitchen fundraising concerts at Southminster United Church, and if anyone had that opportunity, I heard they were absolutely amazing. So Dr. Proby Elementary, Coalbanks Elementary, Mike Mountain Horse Elementary, Nicholas Sharon Elementary, and the Chinook High School want to thank them for their beautiful performances and all those who attended and supported this great cause. Of course, all of the funds went to support the Soup Kitchen in Lethbridge. Last week I was up at RMA, so that's Rural Municipalities of Alberta, conference in Edmonton, and it was a great opportunity to get a perspective from the counties that are around in Alberta. And so we've heard quite often that how to work together as regions, and that would include ourselves with the county of Lethbridge and other counties. And so it's important to get up and get a perspective from their side. Not that there's really any sides to this, but you know, as far as smaller communities and some of the struggles that they're facing, if it's from doctor shortage as we do as well, and how we can work together as communities and regions. Gosh, I do want to give a shout out to a fella that's actually works within the city. And this week, city had relaunched a CityWise website. And what that is, it's a City of Lethbridge internal portal. So it's kind of an internal website centralizing the employees' access to organizational updates, learning and development tools, forms, career opportunities, people and culture resources, et cetera. And I wanted to recognize the outstanding efforts of one particular staff member. His name is Wes Chapman, who led the rebuild. And it was considered to be a one-year project, and Wes was able to complete this in just a little over 7 months. And so he's already on to the next major rebuild project, so I just want to give a huge shout out to Wes and for his work. And with that, we will move over to the consent agenda. Oh, we're not doing consent agenda. I'm sorry, we're doing the picture. How smart, quickly I forget. So with that, we'll just take a quick break and we'll get a picture with the tartan. All right, we will move along with the adoption of the agenda. I do have a resolution here from Acting Mayor Carlson. Be it resolved, the agenda of the regular meeting of City Council on March 25th, 2025 be adopted as presented. Acting Mayor Carlson.
Oh, thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'll ask the clerk if there's any changes, amendments, additions.
There are none.
Woohoo. Unless there's any questions of my colleagues, I'll call for the vote.
Question's been called. All in favor? And that is unanimous. Thank you. Next, we'll move to the consent agenda from Deputy Mayor Palladino. Be it resolved that the minutes of the following meeting of City Council be approved and the Mayor and City Clerk be authorized to sign the same. City Council meeting from March the 11th, 2025. Further be resolved, the City Council received for information the status of directed resolutions from March 25th, 2025. And further be resolved that City Council approve the recommendations contained within the following Standing Policy Committee reports. 4.3.1, recommendation of Audit Standing Policy Committee, CC 65, Financial Reserves Policy. Be it resolved, the City Council adopt the amended CC 65 Financial Reserves Policy to include the creation of the Waste Utility Reserve, Option 1, as provided in Attachment 1. 4.3.2, recommendations of Audit Standing Policy Committee, Lethbridge Police Services Technology Fund. Be it resolved that City Council approve the Lethbridge, oh boy, there's this many pages. All right. Well, I was given a page. I thought, okay, well, I'll read that one. I won't put it. This is out in the agenda, and I'm sure you do not, you have better things to do than hear me read 4 pages of this. It is out in the agenda and is available for the public as well as to my colleagues. And so I will say that started off with that. And if there's any questions on this, pass around any questions? Yes. Councillor Croson.
Thank you, Mayor Higgin. I do have a question. I know with the unaudited, there is lots of information in there, but one question for you, probably you, Mr. Sanchez. We had a deficit in the snow clearing of $457,000. Would that have been higher if we had not been plowing to the right?
That's a really good question, and the short answer is yes. The plowing to the right had savings that were considered in this. Otherwise, this deficit would have been higher than this.
Okay. And this question for either you or Mr. Matthews. I know we've talked about this before, but with the snow clearing, we always use the MRSR as the backstop, is how we've been traditionally doing it. Should we be budgeting that differently? Should it have its own budget, or is this the most effective way? Because every time it seems like we never have the right amount there. Like it never seems our budget is actually effective on that one.
Thank you, members of council and Councillor Croson. So in regards to this, we did have at one time in history, we had a separate reserve. Council did at that time, because of those very issues, decided to actually create it where not only did they increase the funding for snow clearing, they also moved it into the MRSR so that you could take those fluctuations in years just because that reserve is a little bit more substantial than what we had inside the snow clearing reserve, which was taking considerable pressures at the time.
Okay, thank you for that. And I did not make it to the audit committee, so I have a couple of questions on the reserve one, just to double check. We did change putting water utility reserve in there. We have now set minimum balances for major capital and for MRSR, and a maximum and minimum for fleet reserve. And we have set numbers for those. And those will, whenever we're looking at those reserves, can I assume that with that policy moving on, that those will be reminded of that whenever we're looking at taking money out of those reserves?
That is correct.
Okay, thank you. That's all I need to know there. Thank you, Mayor Higgin.
Thank you. Councillor Schmidt-Rempel.
There we go. It's stuck. I would like to pull item 4.3.5A off, please. So it's the recommendation of Economic and Finance Development Policy Committee, LD monthly financial reporting, rescinding monthly and replacing it with quarterly. I would like to pull that one, please. And then I just have a question with regards to process, and I'm not sure who can answer this. When we go through the consent agenda, and as you had indicated, it's out there for the public to see. The public actually doesn't see this motion. So how can the public see this motion when we're not reading it? The first time the public becomes aware of this motion, the consent agenda motion, is when they hear you read it or see it. The public doesn't see it right now. So
So it would be, it would be posted after, you're right.
Yeah.
Correct, David?
So generally, that is correct, but generally what happens, so with the consent agenda, it is compiled of all the recommendations coming from each report, so they can figure out what the direction is, but you're right, it is not literally posted until after the meeting as part of the minutes.
Right. So I just want to bring that to our attention and help the public understand that this is a compilation of the other meetings that we've just had within that time period, and that's where they would have to pull that information from, particularly when we're not reading through those consent agenda items. Thank you.
Perfect. Thank you. Councillor Dodek.
Pulling in for the process question? Okay. Same question that she had.
Councillor Carlson.
Yes. It's the double negative. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you, Councillor Croson, for some of your questions. You limited some of the explanation that I wanted to do on some of the items. The CC 65 financial reserve policy, as Councillor Croson stated is just to set some minimum, some maximum, some optimal ranges, and to add the waste or the water and wastewater utility reserve as well. Questions around the LPS Services Technology Fund. This is just putting a policy around a practice that's been in place, I believe, since 1992, I want to say. It was before my time. In the 90s, but there never was a policy around it, so that is just sort of formalizing that. And then the unaudited financial information report. From Councillor Croson's questions, I trust you've all read it with that level of detail. There was a spelling mistake, just 3 of them. And just some highlights from that. We had, where am I here? Sorry. We were close to budget on all of the accounts, between 0.5 and 0.97%, so fairly close to the bone, but managed to come in under budget on those. We are reallocating a grant and fee for service contingency of $20,000. This I wanted to highlight for Councillor Croson. I believe this is one of the initiatives she has been pushing for better supports for our community organizations, such as board training and professional development. So that's a good news story. The rest of the report is fairly lengthy. I trust you've all read it. And if there's any other questions? Seeing none, then that's the end of mine. Thank you.
Thank you. And I just wanted to point out, would you prefer, I think this is the 4th time that I've not read through the whole consent agenda in 4 years, but I was told just it's up on the screen, but I am more than happy to read out. Would you like me to go through it? I'm seeing no. Okay. It will be posted later, and it is on the screen. Any questions? And we do have some that have been pulled, and it's 4.3.5A. Is that right? Yes. And with that, so we'll go back to as amended, and that, where is my resolution here? Oh, yes. Yes, Deputy Mayor.
So we've gone through the consent agenda there, and 5 reports and 4 bylaws for first reading, and some questions on that. So if there's nothing additionally to add to that, I will call for the vote.
Question has been called. All in favor? And that is unanimous. Thank you. I have a resolution here sponsored by myself, the Green Shirt Day 6.1, whereas on April the 6th, 2018, Canadians were heartbroken to hear the news of the Humboldt Broncos bus crash, where of the 29 passengers, 16 lost their lives and 13 will bear physical and emotional scars for life. And whereas on April the 7th, 2018, Humboldt Broncos defenseman Logan Boulet succumbed to his injuries, his parents Bernadine and Toby Boulet offered to donate his organs as Logan told his parents he was registering as an organ donor, as he was inspired by his coach and mentor, Rick Suggett, who saved 6 lives as a donor in 2017. And whereas 6 lives were saved by Logan donating his organs, the news spread on the organ donation by this young hockey player, and it is estimated that more than 150,000 people registered to become organ donors in the days and weeks that followed. To date, this has been the largest number of Canadians registering to become organ donors in Canadian history due to one event, one person. And whereas one of the objectives of Green Shirt Day 2025 is to inspire 100,000 more Canadians to register as organ donors, and whereas Green Shirt Day was created to honor, remember, and recognize all the victims and families of the fatal crash, and to continue Logan's legacy by inspiring Canadians to talk to their families and register as organ donors. And whereas on January 11th, 1999, City Council passed a resolution stating the Mayor's office would discontinue the long-standing practice of issuing proclamations to avoid endorsements for a cause or program that would result in controversy in the community. Whereas Lethbridge City Council has declared April 7th as Green Shirt Day every year since 2019, whereas the current City Council requested an exemption to the resolution passed at that time for this extraordinary cause. Therefore, be it resolved that Council provide an exception to the January 11th, 1999 resolution and request the Mayor's office to declare April 7th, 2025 as Green Shirt Day as a tribute to City of Lethbridge resident Logan Boulay. Are there any questions? No questions. And as I stated here to open debate, it's something that I'm asked quite often, why wouldn't you declare this day going forward? And it's quite apparent that with the resolution, we had passed a resolution stating that we would discontinue this practice. And so for that reason, we're bringing it forward each year. And with the exception, and I think it's actually, I don't think, I know that it's more important that way, that it brings to light the incredible movement that has come from an individual losing his life. And so with that, I hope to spread awareness and inspire conversations about organ donation, ensuring that Logan's legacy lives on through all of our collective efforts. And I'm happy to see his family in the crowd there, and thank you very much for being here today. And with that, is there any more debate? Seeing none, I'll call for the vote. All in favor? And that's unanimous. Thank you. I have from Councillor Crozan an OBM official business motion, City of Lethbridge Tartan Bulk Order 6.2. Whereas in June 2000, it was announced that Lethbridge's City Tartan had been officially registered with the Scottish Tartan Society, and whereas in August 2000, during the official opening ceremonies for the present City Hall, Francis Schultz and the Tartan Design Committee of the Lethbridge Handicraft Guild presented the Lethbridge official tartan to the City of Lethbridge. And whereas in 2000, the City of Lethbridge and the Lethbridge Handicraft Guild worked together to do a bulk order of the Lethbridge tartan, ordering scarves and ties. And whereas in 2025, on the 25th anniversary of the City of Lethbridge tartan, the Lethbridge Handicraft Guild are putting a bulk order of the Lethbridge tartan this year. And whereas a bulk order requires that 4 or 5 dozen of each item be ordered, and such an order is larger than the Lethbridge Handicraft Guild requires, and the Lethbridge Handicraft Guild is wondering if the City of Lethbridge is interested in coordinating a bulk order with them. And whereas City Council may desire to order some scarves and ties, either to be used as gifts or to be sold. Now, therefore, be it resolved that City Council approves up to $3,000 to be used from council contingency to order scarves and ties in the Lethbridge tartan, and directs the city manager to work with the Lethbridge Handicraft Guild in coordinating a bulk order. So, Councillor Crozan.
So of course, as a motion, this has been brought forward for a discussion about whether or not we would like to be part of that bulk order. I have provided information provided by the Guild as to what costs are. Ties would be $23.22 each, need to be ordered in with our order. If there are any questions, I can certainly field them or do my best, or Ms. Patterson might be able to help me as well.
I do have a question, and it's something that I've looked at for quite some time. Is there a possibility of getting a kilt, or is that something you would get the fabric or the textile here to create, or is that something that could be ordered at this time of order? I don't know who could answer that. Or
so, Ms. Patterson, do you know if on their own or with this order, somebody could order the material? If you want to come on up. He wants a skirt like yours.
Yes.
To the best of my knowledge, the company that we deal with in Ontario that orders from the Lochcarron Woolen Mill in Scotland can produce yardages of fabric, and I believe the company in Ontario, Burnett and Struce, I believe they will make kilts as well.
Okay.
Yeah.
Excellent. Thank
Could
you.
that
I appreciate
information
that.
be passed on to us?
I sure can.
Oh, perfect.
That would be great.
So
Thank you
that's
so much.
beyond this order, though.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or
It might be able, if we can coordinate it, it could be part of a
Okay.
bulk order. Obviously, as with everything, shipping costs are less the more you
the more you put in
put
at
in.
one time.
And so we're hoping, one of the biggest things, we hope to bring down shipping costs and maximize the order that we make.
Excellent. Thank you for that. All right, Councillor Carlson.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'll only agree to your kilt if you also get really long socks. I've seen your very white legs in past. Anyways, thank you for this, Councillor Crowson. The question is through, I guess to you, Mr. Mayor, or whoever can answer this. We have in past done part of the resolution talks about gifting these, and I think it's incredible. I think I got one of the very first ties when I retired from the Allied Arts Council board, and it's always been a very special gift and memento. So I'm wondering if there will be enough of these to utilize as city gifts. I know that in past times we have given the scarves, we've given ties. Is that kind of the intention, or should we be maybe purchasing more so that?
And thank you for that, because I know when we go out to Saint Laurent, our
Yep.
sister city, or to Twin Cities and stuff, instead of finding something, I mean, we've done a lot of other things, and don't get me wrong, it's great. We have paintings and stuff from local artists, but this is something that could be an option as well. I don't know, Councillor Crowson, if you have anything to add for that?
As I always say, when I bring a motion forward, it's to start a conversation. And what I brought forward is sort of the minimum amount that would help the Guild get their order through. Certainly, I have thought of that same thing. We do provide gifts to Saint Laurent on the exchange and other ones. And it might be worthwhile to then consider whether we want to increase this order, because as was mentioned, the cost comes down with a larger order for shipping and things like that. So as I've always said, I think a motion as a first kind of hit at the bat, but it's not the only thing that can be considered. If council is leaning the way of, we only do this once every 25 years, and having some in stock to give away, then we could consider increasing the money, as long as, Mr. Matthews doesn't faint from the amount that we put in.
And thank you for that, because I didn't do the math, but when we say we're putting in $3,000, how many scarves and ties does that get us? I could have done the math, maybe.
How I sort of figured it out is if we do kind of half the order, if we do 24 of the ties and 24 of the scarves kind of in the middle, it comes in just over $2,000. And so I rounded that up to $3,000, not thinking we would spend the whole $3,000, but so that we didn't have to come back going, oh, we did our math wrong, can we add $500 to it? So that's how I just did my math, was 24 ties and 24 scarves sort of thing, to kind of do half the order so that the order could go through. So it wasn't based on any magical number. I just needed something in the motion to bring forward.
Okay. And Mr. Mayor, I don't know how many, you do most of the protocol work on behalf of council. How many in a term or a year would you see us utilizing when you go to events like up in Calgary or Edmonton or around the country?
And we've done other things with Amolite and stuff as well, and we're always trying to find something that we have stuck in a back closet or something is when a gift comes, when we need that gift. So there'd probably be, there might be 6-7 times minimum a year. And so I'm seeing this every 25 years, which doesn't include my kilt or my skirt, as you mentioned. And so I don't know if that's going to be sufficient to cover for, if it's 25 years, my goodness, that's, unless it's being looked at again in 5 years.
That was going to be my further question, is the company that we order through, or the Guild orders through in Ontario, can it be done on a more regular basis, or is this a once in a quarter century opportunity?
Yes, it can be ordered more often, but as I said, their minimum orders were 4 to 5 dozen, so it's a good starting point. If it's something that the city and maybe the Allied Arts Council wants to, say, stock in their store and sell as an item that the public can buy when they come to visit our beautiful city for tourism, I think that could definitely be revisited depending on how popular sales of these items would be.
As you're looking at what numbers, remember that the city as a corporation has changed their branding away from these colors. This is based on the city crest, which is council. So that may, play part of it, because these, if you're being given as gifts, these would be council gifts, not City of Lethbridge gifts, because these colors and tartan are councils, not the corporations.
And I guess a question, we'll look at Mr. Moneyman over there. So we do have a budget obviously, and what is left in council contingencies, if I could ask? This would be 3,000 of it, but what do we have left?
Thank you, members of council and Mayor Higgin. In regards to the council contingencies, currently for this year, we have $90,000 remaining of this year's budget, and still 135,000, or just over 135,000 in carryover from previous year. So a total of 225,000 that's still available.
And of course, that does include everything from mayor's, councilor's office. I mean, that's not just for this, and I just want to make sure the community knows it's money's just not sitting there that isn't used for you know, pens and paper clips and et cetera. But all right, that's good to know. Thank you. Councillor Carlson.
Mr. Mayor, and maybe if I can through you to Mr. Matthews again, does the mayor's office also have a budget for gifts and produce? Like, at one point, I remember there was a line item, but I don't recall seeing it recently. So I'm just wondering, because I know we removed a bunch of, there is $20,000 in that budget.
I just got a message and it's 10,000, but I hear that it's 20,000. We're going up. So if we
do I hear
talk
30?
long enough, it might be 30,000. Yeah.
Because I'm wondering if that wouldn't be a funding source. I'm not sure, Mr. Mayor, how often you utilize that budget, but this may be an appropriate funding source for that.
And from Mr. City Funds guy, so we'll call him Mr. Matthews, CFO.
And thank you for the question there, Councillor Carlson. So by all means, council could consider that. Over the last couple of years, there has been, from mayor and city council, there has been surplus in those areas that roll in. So they could, I think you could use it for this purpose here, and then that would just keep your council contingency if you wanted for other things that come up over the next remainder of the business cycle.
All right, and I would probably ask to go back to Councillor Crowson if that's a possible area to pull those funds from, if that's something that you...
As I said, I brought this forward for the conversation. I have no difficulty if we change the amount and or the funding source, as long as it's an appropriate funding source.
And just to let my colleagues know, Councillor Middleton Hope has joined us in the conversation. We didn't quite get done before he was, so. All right, so is there any appetite to change or just keep it the way that it is? And I'm just saying when it's up to 3,000, understanding that it could be $1,000 or 2,000, but without having to come back if more is needed later. I'm just wondering, and being one that's pretty frugal on everything, I'm just wondering if this is something that is of importance to my colleagues. Councillor Carlson.
Thank you. If I can, Mr. Mayor, I don't mind leaving it at this, knowing that you have a budget line for this. I think if council sort of is in agreement that these are worthy to have and will be helpful, if you feel that you need more, and that's why I wanted to ask about the budget, I think you've got the power.
Yeah, so if anything does come back and above, there is a budget already for that, so would not have to return. But this could be a start, and I thank Councillor Crowson for bringing this forward. And so, any other questions? And if we have it just as this, and of course there is a budget if it goes beyond that. Any further questions from my colleagues? Seeing none, to open debate. Councillor Crowson?
I know we've already had the history of this specific tartan, but the tartan, of course, goes back centuries in Scottish history, became much more of a symbol when they pushed back against the English in the 1600s, and it has become a symbol of freedom, of Scottish heritage, etc. And when you think of Stafford, Galt, etc., we have a lot of Scottish history in Lethbridge, which is one of the reasons the tartan was done, is to connect with that history, and I hope my colleagues will support this.
I do see Councillor Middleton Hope, question or debate?
No, neither. I'm in support of it. Thank you.
All right. Councillor Campbell.
Yeah, just to say that this is a great thing to have in our when needed. It's a great idea, and I just want to say I'm going to go for a wee dram of a wee Doc and Doris. It's going to be a Brabrik Moonlich Nick. That's all I want to say. That's all I'm saying is because it's a great tartan, Thank you. I'm going to agree with it. God bless you. Enjoy your freedom.
All right, on that note, is there any further debate from my colleagues? Seeing none, Councillor Croson to close.
It is at times like that I wish we had handwritten minutes to try to see Mr. Sarsfield write that down. But I will call the question.
Question's been called. All in favor? Any opposed? That's unanimous. Thank you. All right, and now we'll move on to 8.1.1, which is the one that was pulled off the consent agenda, recommendation of Economic and Finance Standing Policy Committee, Lethbridge and District Exhibition Monthly Financial Reporting. 8.1.1, be it resolved that City Council rescind a portion of their March 12th, 2024 below direction by deleting the word monthly and replacing with quarterly to provide monthly, quarterly Lethbridge and District Exhibition operating report to the Economic and Finance Standing Policy Committee. And I'll turn that over to Councillor Schmidt-Rempel if you want to. Start with the reason for pulling that.
Yep. And I know that Councillor Dodick was looking at pulling this one as well, so I'll let him jump in when he sees fit. A process question for the clerk's office on this one. As per procedure bylaw, section 178, a member can only make a rescinding motion of a motion from a previous meeting by submitting a notice of motion of inclusion on the agenda. And that wasn't done in this instance. So that puts us in violation of our procedure bylaw. Is there a reason why we didn't have that come forward first, or how do we move forward when no notice of motion came forward on this?
Thanks for the question. So the questions on rescindment has been a question that's been asked before, and there's been different interpretations offered. In this particular case, we look at section 179, and section 179 says the city manager may request the council revisit a motion for previous meeting by submitting a written report. So how this came to be was the report was presented at the Economic and Finance meeting last couple weeks ago, and that's where it came from, so it was part of the report. And really what the spirit of this particular motion, of a rescinding motion is we say that it requires 2/3 vote to proceed with the rescinding motion. So originally it was on the consent agenda, and the consent agenda requires unanimous, so we thought we had it covered. In this particular case, when we look at this particular motion, we'll be requiring 2/3 vote. And at any time, someone can say they can challenge the chair on our process, but this is the process we've been using since this bylaw was passed, and it's marked for something to consider further to make it more explicit when we next review the procedure bylaw. So I don't know if that answers your question more or less, hopefully more.
Councillor Schmidt-Rempel, anything more to add? Or
Not at this point. I'll let Councillor Dodick.
Okay, Councillor Middleton-Hope is next, and then over to Councillor Dodick. Is this along with this? And I'm just, Councillor Middleton-Hope, is it regarding what you had just heard or a separate question? I just want to make sure that if we're on the same topic, I can put it over to Dodick, and then after, if you've...
Yeah, so it's just in regards to the language of the motion.
Okay, go ahead.
Well, to provide monthly, quarterly is confusing.
Oh, I see.
Which
To
do we
provide
need?
monthly, quarterly, oh, you're right. Yes, to provide monthly, quarterly operating report.
And this is to provide quarterly Lethbridge and District Exhibition operating report to the Economic and Standing Policy Committee. Is that correct?
I'll have the clerk speak to this. Thank you.
Thank you for recognizing me. So the intent of this motion was to change the word from quarterly to monthly. And so,
No, the reverse.
Okay. Well, the intent was, to be clear, to change the wording, sorry, I apologize, to change the wording from monthly to quarterly. In the original resolution, it did say monthly, and there was a proposed amendment or rescindment to change this to quarterly. So the wording is wrong in the motion, but the intent was to remove the word monthly and replace it, insert the word quarterly.
Good, then do I need to make a friendly?
We'll change the word so it's clear, because that was the recommendation coming from the committee.
Perfect, thank you.
Councillor Dodek.
Excuse me, yes, I just want to follow up on the clerk's remarks regarding section 179 of the procedure bylaw. So to get the motion to pass using 179, it does fly in the face of 178. So is the clerk's office considering proposing an amendment to the procedure bylaw that doesn't get us into a situation where, for example, section 179 strictly read allows us to do what was done, and section 178 strictly read puts in a procedure that is requires something else to be done. In other words, I'm saying that there's sort of at loggerheads with each other at the moment. So it would seem to me that something like in 178, addition of the words of except for section 179, this would be required, or something to that effect. So is that something that's being considered?
So both 178 and 179 involve rescindment. So the impact was for it to apply to both. We realized the difference in views on this particular section, especially when you go back to the table, which is further up on that same page. And so it was earmarked for one of the things that we need to address in wording. This particular bylaw took almost 2 years to amend. And so as a result, some of the things that we wanted to be included were lost in the translation when we came to the final form. So we have it marked to make the language clear so that there is no question.
Thank you.
All right. Any further questions on this? Seeing none. As far as debate, open debate, I don't know if there's any debate to continue on there. Councillor Schmidt-Rempel.
No, I will, just for consistency's sake, I will still not be supporting this motion. I didn't support it at committee because there are still outstanding documents to come back to council, some of which includes a business plan. And until those documents come back to council, I will not be supporting a move to quarterly reporting.
The debate brought forward a question here, so if I can just please ask Mr. City Manager, business plan. What you heard, can I get some explanation as far as how that will work if there is a business plan to come forward, or how that?
So I don't recall committing to that. Quite frankly, I would have to ask the clerk to look back in minutes and decisions from the past. I don't recall committing to bringing back the business plan or strategic plan for the Lethbridge and District Exhibition to council. Happy to do so, but I don't recall committing to that. So that work is underway. But yeah, I'd need the history on that decision.
Okay.
We could revisit that later.
Don't know offhand, and I think. Yeah, maybe we will. I think we should table this until we find that answer. Postpone it. Sorry. So with that, postpone to April 10th, right? And there's no rush with having this done. Okay.
No.
April 15th. I'm sorry.
It's still in the works. I don't have a ETA on the completion date anyway, so
okay.
There's no rush.
Okay, so we put it for April 15th. So a motion to postpone this item until April 15th. All right, Councillor Crowson. Oh, so pending more information regarding business plan and strategic plan. What did you have in there?
If I can clarify, this is my
Please.
point of clarification. Do we mean Lethbridge and District Exhibition or MCC? MCC is different. MCC, we are working on stuff that will come back over time. LDE is different.
So MCC is the
And the
corp
phase
that
two.
is overarching to LDE,
Yeah.
correct? Okay, Councillor Schmidt-Rempel, question? And then over to Councillor Middleton Hope next.
And my intent is making sure all those pieces are in place before we move on to monthly reporting. So certainly the MCC information that needs to come forward, and we're still waiting for a release of documentation on LDE. So until all that information comes forward, I am reluctant to move to quarterly reporting on this. So certainly maybe business plan is not the correct information, but under looking at forming that municipal corporation, that's part of the information that we need to have back before we look at moving to quarterly reporting.
I think for clarification, we do have this right now as being postponed till April 15th. Speaking to the, the motion has, but it's the questions and debate is around that particular motion right now. Is there additional questions? Councillor Middleton Hope, you're next.
Yes, thank you. Does this interfere, conflict, or correspond to the reporting monthly by the Lethbridge and District Exhibition? So will they be required to report between now and the 15th of April?
Thank you, members of council, Councillor Milton Hope. I don't know if I jumped in the wrong spot there, the queue, so I apologize if I did. In regards to this, it would just mean for that economic meeting on April the 10th, we would come with another monthly update at that stage. So every month, LDE, I should say, comes with that, and there's as one of the requirements.
So the answer is yes.
Yes.
Thank you. All right.
Councillor Carlson?
Thank you. Just a question on the wisdom of postponement, because I don't see the two as connected. This is just, we're talking about the monthly reporting for the LDE and the business planning. It's a whole separate process in my opinion. So I don't see the wisdom on postponement on this. Either vote and pass or vote and fail, but the business planning information is going to have no bearing on this.
And to confirm that over to City Treasurer, that's two different, is that correct?
Thank you, Mayor Higgin. In regards to that, so and I was trying to go through there's quite a few different resolutions around that December 10th, 12th meeting dates. So the two that come into mind, and I think that Councillor Schmidt-Rempel referring to, is one is on the MCC, the other is on the phase 2 component, which is the policies, procedures, and other review pieces that are in there. That will come forward. When it comes to the monthly piece here, that doesn't, it strictly doesn't tie to those. They are separate pieces for council to consider in regards to how LDE is organized or used in the future from that point of view in the MCC. And then, of course, it's the policies and procedures front, which is really to do with looking at the policies and procedures of the city and also of how we're going to look at other community groups and so forth. So it's not specifically on the financial reporting side. And what I would say here is that the financial reporting is still coming. It's just coming in quarterly versus monthly.
So if I'm looking at this correctly then, and just from what I've heard as far as two different with MCC and LDE, postponing this is just the information, not a business plan. That information coming back on April the 15th, but it's just in regards what you've heard, the timelines here for the quarterly to monthly or to quarterly. And do my colleagues need that time to April 15th? That's a great question that Councillor Carlson posed, and I'm not. Go ahead, Councillor Middleton Hope, followed by Councillor Crowson.
Yep, thank you. No, I don't need additional time. I appreciate my colleague, Councillor Carlson, bringing this forward. No, I'm prepared to vote on it today.
Councillor Crowson?
The reason I suggested the postponement was there was some consideration from Mr. Brierley as to whether or not he had promised a strategic plan, but I think we had figured out now that that was a strategic plan for the MCC, not the exhibition, and that those are two different items. One, we're the board of the MCC. The other, we're not the board of the exhibition. So a strategic plan would be going to their board, not to us. Yes, the board reports to us, but it is not our board. And so I think because those two are separate, I would suggest that the postponement motion is not needed.
I would agree. And with that, if there's no further debate on the original motion, since the other is not on the table as of yet, we'll do that by roll call. If there's no further questions or debate, my colleagues? We're just exactly what we have here, which is to provide quarterly from the original, yes. That's correct. And by roll call, Madam City Clerk, my gosh. We're talking about my skirt, et cetera, and I'm just automatic. All right.
Bonnie is
Mr.
much
Sarfield.
more pleasant to listen to. So we'll do the roll call, starting with Councillor Croson. And this vote is on
Moving from monthly to quarterly reports
the
on the
original
exhibition.
motion. Yes.
Yeah.
Councillor Croson.
In favor.
Councillor Dodick.
Opposed.
Councillor Middleton Hope.
In favor?
Councillor Parker. Councillor Schmidt-Rempo.
Opposed.
Acting Mayor Carlson.
In favor.
Deputy Mayor Palladino.
Opposed?
Mayor Higgin.
Opposed.
Councillor Campbell.
In favor.
So the motion is passed 5-4. Oh, they're not being 2/3 in favor. Thank you very much. I appreciate the motion is lost.
I do have a submission from a resolution moved by Councillor Dodick, and this is administrative submission. Be it resolved that Council approve the submission of the 2024 Code of Conduct Compliance Report as provided in Attachment 1 to the Alberta Utilities Commission, the AUC. Open to questions, Councillor Dodick.
The questions?
If you want to go straight to debate, you can do that as well.
People have questions. I see the media is lined up for interviews.
I see no questions in
Or
the
they're
queue,
just talking
Councillor
to
Dodick.
each other. Yeah. I'm really yes. I see Mr. Dranth is here, ready to answer any questions regarding this electrifying resolution. Okay, give me a bada-ding. Thank you. As noted in the summary, we're required, or they're required to do this once a year. It's an annual compliance report in order to ensure adherence to the AUC's Code of Conduct regulation, as well as the City of Lethbridge's compliance plan. And appended to the recommendation is the actual compliance report dated March 25 of 2025, confirming that for the year ended December 31, 2024, the appropriate compliance has occurred, and that information will be submitted as required. So unless there are no questions, I would call the question.
There are no questions or any debate from my colleagues. Seeing none, questions have been called. All in favor? And that is unanimous. Thank you.
No, we got stuff to do out of camera. It's none of your damn business.
Now, moving on to administrative inquiries and responses, 11.1. It is in your package. That's response to inquiry regarding investment in housing in the city of Lethbridge. That is in your package. Are there any questions or anything on that? All right. Seeing none. I'll move on now to council updates, and I'll start off with if there's anybody, I guess, to chime in rather than go through each and every person, unless Councillor Middleton Hope, you have an update? No up.
I have none, thank you.
All right. Councillor Schmidt-Rempel.
Thank you very much. I was able to attend the Downtown BRZ AGM on March 11th. In 2024, the BRZ leveraged the annual tax levy of $250,000 into over $900,000 worth of services, events, marketing, and community building initiatives. Currently downtown, we have 564 businesses with a 92% street level occupancy rate. I also attended the EDL AGM last Wednesday along with Councillors Campbell and Palladino. At that meeting, we learned that for the past 7 years, for every $1 invested, this organization has returned $188 back to our city. Further to that, funded by $1.4 million from the City of Lethbridge, EDL was able to leverage an additional 81% in partner funding in 2024, which will result in an estimated $10.8 million in taxes this year from EDL Industrial and Commercial, from the EDL Industrial and Commercial client list alone. So that's some good return on investment in this organization. Thank you, EDL, for all the work that you do for our city and our region. A number of us attended the budget review meeting on March 14th, and thank you to Minister Neudorf and his staff for meeting with us to hear our concerns and advocate for our initiatives. And that's all the updates I have.
Thank you, Councillor Schmidt-Rempel. Councillor Croson.
Mr. Sarsfield may have to help me with this. I'd like to do a council update, but under FOIP, under sections 21, harmful to intergovernmental relations, and 24, advice from officials. I'd like it to be enclosed. It is
Is that to add?
a committee update, but I'd like it to be
So the time to add things to the agenda has passed, but I assume it's an emergent item.
It is something I would like to add, yes.
So whether that would require 2/3 to add it to the agenda. So we can do that
Thank you.
if council so wishes.
All right, we do have, is there anyone opposed to, I guess we can call for the, and Councillor Middleton Hope, is that regarding this or a separate question?
Actually, it's a question in regards to being able to question the data that's been provided. So if we can do that at some point, that would be great.
The data of what?
Well, the report indicates we've received a substantial quote-unquote return on investment. I have some questions in regards to the return on investment.
Are you?
I've been led to understand that the BRZ might be present today. If that's not the case, then I have some questions for our administration in regards to it.
Councillor Carlson?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you, Councillor Middleton Hope. I believe, unfortunately, I don't believe you were here for the part of the meeting. We've already passed the BRZ budget. That was part of the consent agenda. So that was done, I believe, before Councillor Middleton Hope joined, perhaps.
It certainly wasn't after.
Yeah, so sorry,
Yes, but are you questioning also the numbers that Councillor Schmidt-Rempel was talking about? I'm sorry if I'm
I believe it was
confused on this, or was it on the BRZ
and the
from earlier?
The BRZ was here to answer any questions, but we passed it and they left.
Is it possible to direct those questions to the BRZ, as they're no longer here? They were here at the beginning when that was passed.
That'll be fine. I directed those questions to the city manager earlier, and the suggestion was to come back. I apologize. The time difference here obviously precluded me being on time. So I will direct those questions then to the BRZ. I will also redirect some of those as a CC to our administration.
Thank you, Councillor Middleton-Home. Any further council updates? Or sorry, we're still on, let's hop back to Councillor Croson as far as getting a 2/3 to add something to the closed agenda under FOIP 21 and 22. And can you describe the items, Councillor Croson? It's an update from one of the committees. All right. All of those in favor? And that's unanimous. Thank you. Are there any further council updates? If not, we will go into closed? I see no further updates, so motion to go into closed. Councillor Campbell, all in favor? And this is be it resolved that we do now enter a closed meeting at 1:40 p.m. to discuss confidential matters with respect to items 14.1 and 14.2 and 14.3. And we probably need to add on 14.4, correct? As per section 17, harmful to personal privacy, 19, confidential evaluations, 21, harmful to intergovernmental relations, and 24, advice from officials of the Freedom of Information and Protection of Privacy Act. And 14.3 covers Councillor Croson's as mentioned. So with that, Councillor Campbell, all in favor? And that's unanimous. We'll be enclosed. All right. I do have a resolution from Councillor Parker for closed meeting regarding St. Laurent exchange trip. Be it resolved, the City Council direct the closed meeting discussion with respect to the St. Laurent exchange trip. Verbal item remain confidential pursuant to Section 21 harmful to intergovernmental relations and 24 advice from officials of the Freedom of Information Protection and Privacy Act. Councillor Parker.
Question.
Question been called. All in favor? And that's unanimous. Thank you. And from Councillor Crowson, a closed meeting, public member appointments to boards, commissions, and committees. 14.2, be resolved that council appoint the following public member to serve on the board, commissions, on their board, commissions, and committees as outlined below for the following term effective immediately. Animal Welfare Committee, Senzerossi, a 3-year term expiring December 31st, 2025, and that's a reappointment. Further be resolved that City Council direct the closed meeting documents, reports, and discussions with respect to the public member appointments to boards, commissions, and committees. Item remain confidential pursuant to Section 17, harmful to personal privacy, 19, confidential evaluations, and 24, advice from officials of the Freedom of Information Protection and Privacy Act. Councillor Crowson.
Question.
Question's been called. All in favor? And that's unanimous. And from Councillor Crowson as well, closed meeting committee matter verbal. 14.3, be it resolved the City Council directed the closed meeting discussions with respect to the committee matter verbal item remain confidential pursuant to Section 21, harmful to intergovernmental relations, and 24, advice from officials of the Freedom of Information Protection and Privacy Act. Councillor Crowson.
Question.
Question's been called. All in favor? And that too is unanimous. And we will recess now until 3 p.m. for the public hearings. All right, just to be sure, you are Councillor Middleton Hope. You are online, correct?
Yes, that's correct.
All right, thank you. We have a bylaw, 6480, a bylaw to provide for the closing of a certain road. So I now call the public hearing for bylaw 6480, a bylaw to provide for the closing of a certain road. The procedure for this will be, we'll begin by hearing from Donald C., Corporate Land Administrator, to provide background to the case, and anyone else who wishes to speak to this bylaw will then be called upon. We'll ask 3 times. If there's anyone else who wishes to make a presentation, after that, City Council will have the opportunity to ask any questions of the presenters, and then the hearing will be closed. Consideration of second and third reading will be made by City Council immediately following the public hearing. So I'll now invite Donald C. to provide background to the case.
Good afternoon, Your Worship and members of Council. I would like to present you bylaw 6480, closing a portion of certain roads. Bylaw 6480 is intent to close road plan 101-0289 road right away. The applicant is Lethbridge Land, and the goal is to close the proposed area and consolidate with the adjacent future residential development called Watermark. As outlined in the red circle in this slide, the proposed road closure is located in the west side of Lethbridge and in the future Watermark neighborhood. The subject area, the total area of the closed area is 0.032 acres, more or less, and it's a portion of road plan 101-0289. So as you can see in this slide, yellow hash mark and the image there is that's where we are closing. The initial plan for this Rocky Road Mountain Boulevard was to continue south, passing through Sunridge Boulevard West. So with the future residential Watermark plan, that road will no longer go through the intersection. It will just end right there. So after discussion with transportation, and we have deemed this subject area is surplus to city, and we circulate this proposed road closure with administration and external utility groups, and there's no issue with the road closure. The first reading of this bylaw was held in City Council meeting on February 25th, 2025. The public hearing notice was also sent to landowners within 60 meters and also advertised in Lethbridge Herald and on our city website. And as today, we haven't received 0 concerns. To conclude, we support the closing of this road closure, bylaw 6480. We consider council to consider it at the second and third reading.
Thank you, Mr. C. With that, are there any members of the public that wish to make a presentation on this matter? Be reminded that you'll have 5 minutes to speak to the... Yes. For a second time, are there any members of the public who wish to make a presentation? For a third and final time, just in case I'm missing someone there, is there any members of the public who wish to make a presentation on this matter? Hearing no presenters, it's now time for a City Council to ask questions of the presenter. So with that, Councillor Middleton Hope.
Thank you, Your Worship. I appreciate that. 2 questions to Mr. C through the city manager. First is, what is the purpose of leaving this land undisturbed? Are we planning on allowing development right up to the roadway, or do we have another plan for that roadway in the future?
Councilor Miller Hope, we're just going to have the property up to it, and it's going to be part of the lot property that we'll bring on when Watermark comes along. So there's no further road.
So is it going to be sold for lots in that area?
That is correct.
Okay. Thank you for that. You made mention that landlords were consulted?
Landowners within 60 meters.
Landowners within 60 meters of that particular intersection, correct?
Yeah.
Okay. It's a pretty big open area. Are there more than one landowner?
No.
So is it a private landowner or is it the city?
The city as the private owner, yeah.
So we asked ourselves.
Yes.
Thank you, Mr. C. I appreciate that.
Yeah, so the notification we do here is it's just a surplus. It's not part of our road closure. The main purpose of the road closure notification is just the Lethbridge Herald is required. It's a extra step that we do, make sure owners within 60 meters are notified.
Thank you. I know what the procedure is. And what we normally use. I'm just suggesting that there is only one landowner in this area, and when we say landlords have been consulted or landowners have been consulted, it's really only us. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you, Your Worship.
All right, any further questions? All right, hearing none, I now declare the public hearing closed. This matter will be decided later this afternoon following the public hearing. And if you'll all recall, I have a resolution from something that happened earlier today, a bylaw to provide for the closing of a certain road, bylaw 6480. I have a resolution from Councillor Palladino for a second reading. Be it resolved that bylaw 6480, a bylaw to provide the closing of a certain road to be given second reading. Councillor Palladino.
Oh, okay. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. As you heard, Lethbridge Land has made a road closure application to close 0.032 acres, more or less, of a portion of road at the termination point of Rocky Mountain Boulevard and Sunridge Boulevard, southeast of Joyce Fairbairn School. So if there are no questions, I'm going to recommend second reading.
I see no further questions or any debate. So with that, the question's been called. All in favor? And that is unanimous. And for a third reading, be resolved that bylaw 6480, a bylaw to provide for the closing of a certain road, be given third reading, and the mayor and city clerk be authorized to sign and seal the same. Councillor Palladino?
Call the question.
Question been called. All in favor? And that is unanimous as well. Thank you. And with that, we are adjourned. Thank you.